Okay, today we're going to be talking about status certificates. All right, before we start, first thing to understand is that when you're buying a condo, not the same as buying any other type of real estate. So, in a very real sense, you're becoming a shareholder in a company. They're called condo corporations for a reason, right? So, just as you would if you're considering buying any other business, you need to do your due diligence and make sure everything is on the up and up. The status certificate, key tool that you have to do that due diligence. Okay, so let's take a look. We'll get you up to speed on status certificates. Let's start by quickly talking about what a status certificate is. All right, simply put, status certificate is a report that you can think of as a snapshot of the financial and legal health of the condo corporation as a whole, the whole building, and your unit specifically. All right, so it's got budgets, balances, obligations, rules, regulate, anyway, a bunch of stuff. In other words, it's all the financial, legal information that you need to make an informed decision. Next, let's look at how you go about ordering a status certificate. All right, how do you get one? Well, when you're considering buying a condo, the listing agent will have provided the name and the contact information for the property manager or PM, whom you, your agent, your lawyer, somebody is going to contact requesting a status certificate. Now, in Ontario, the PM must provide you with one status certificate within 10 days from the day you request it for a fee not to exceed, I think it's $100 plus HST, but at any rate, not a ton of money. From there, you receive it, you read it, you give a copy to your lawyer, and it's as simple as that. Now, your agreement of purchase and sale should have some conditional clause in there allowing your lawyer sufficient time to review and be satisfied. So this offers conditional upon the review of the status certificate and our finding it tickety-boo within 10 days. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the financial elements that you should be keeping an eye out for. Number one, you're going to make sure what you were told the common expenses, condo fees, are match what is on the certificate. It's also a good idea at this point to confirm what is covered, especially utilities, which building elements are the condo corporation's responsibility and what are yours alone. We want to look for any notices of increases to those common expenses. Now, as with everything these days, it's not uncommon for these to go up and keep pace with inflation, right? But regardless, you should be aware if the fees are going to go up and by how much before you purchase. Another good thing to look at is to make sure that the seller is up to date on their common expenses, or are they in arrears? Like, were they paying their bills or not? Now, if they weren't and they're in arrears, somebody has to pay for this. So who's that going to be? The next two are reserve funds and any special assessments. They're very important to look at. This is best left with your lawyer to review, and we're going to be talking about each of these in a second. The next big category of things to look at are the rules and regulations. Now, the rules and regulations are really important because they may affect your ability to use the condo the way you want to. So just to illustrate, here are two quick examples I've had over the past couple of years that really highlight the importance of reading these rules and regulations. Now, in the first instance, I had the parents of two university students who wanted to buy a condo for their kids. All right. Nothing special there, right? We're not going to pay the landlord. We're just going to buy a condo. These kids can be the landlords. Now, those two students had two other students lined up who would become their tenants, and they were willing to sign a 3-year lease to make the numbers work for mom and dad, right? Now, we found the perfect 4-bedroom townhouse condo, but when we were reviewing the status certificate, we noticed a rule that prohibited 2 or more unrelated people from occupying the same residence. Now, that might sound a little bit funny to you, but it's really not that uncommon. And in fact, in cities like Waterloo, London, Kingston, where the original builders or owners didn't want students living next to them, would often put these in. Now, in our case, the seller was completely unaware of this regulation. And in fact, I'd say about a quarter of the townhouses were clearly rented to students. So it was a rule there, but it wasn't being enforced. However, for my clients, the risk was there that it could be enforced one day. So they walked on this one. In another example, we had a private piano teacher who wanted to purchase a unit and she was going to give piano lessons from this new studio that she was going to build. Now, unfortunately, the condo corporation, I guess they didn't want extra traffic or, I don't know, strain on visitor parking. They had made a rule that no one was to conduct business from their unit. So we caught this when we were reviewing the status certificate. So she moved on. Now, it's important to remember that had she not ordered the status certificate and read those rules, she could have ended up paying for a unit that she couldn't use fully the way she wanted to, right? So, at any rate, there are two sort of big examples. But beyond this, say you want to, I don't know, you want to update the exterior of your unit one day. You want to add a deck, you're going to put a gas barbecue, or even paint. You need to check the rules and regulations. You might not be allowed to. If you plan to rent out your unit, especially on short-term rentals, you need to check. If you have pets, you check. Again, if you've got any specific plan, reason, anything that's really important to your life, before you purchase a condo, you need to check the rules. Next, we have special assessments. Now, these are a really important element of the status certificate. You need to check whether or not there is a special assessment coming your way or not. So let's back up a little bit here. So special assessments are levied when the normal budget of a condo corporation is not enough to cover a major piece of work that needs to be done. Think of it like when your car dies unexpectedly, or all of a sudden you decide that you need to remodel your kitchen today and you didn't save up enough money. So, what typically happens is a condo board is faced with an unexpected emergency or decides that some significant work needs to be done. What they do is they divide up that expense between all the owners based on the square footage of each owner's unit, if that makes sense. So, everybody is paying X dollars per square foot, right? Now, once voted on and approved, the owners must pay. So you are not getting out of this. So if there is a special assessment coming, you need to know when and for how much before you buy the unit. Now, a lot of people say, oh my gosh, special assessment, don't buy this. But it is important to remember that just because there's a special assessment coming, it doesn't need to kill the deal. And in fact, it might be a blessing in disguise. First, you can negotiate with the seller to pay all or a portion of it. And secondly, paying for an unexpected flood is one thing, but refreshing the lobby, the exterior, parking lot, common elements may in fact add value to your unit above and beyond that expense, right? So think old, tired 1980s condo, I don't know, pink wallpaper, brown carpet, little paint, tile might really be a good investment, right? Anyway, regardless, it's important to know if you will be subject to this expense. Next, we have the reserve fund. Very important. All right. So the reserve fund can be thought of as the money that the condo corporation saves for the repair or replacement of the building and its systems. So we're going to think roof, parking lot, elevators, plumbing, anyway, all that sort of stuff. Now, how much is saved and over what period is determined by something called a reserve fund study. So reserve fund study. Now, these studies are required by law, so you have to do them, and need to be updated every 3 years by an engineering firm that specializes in these studies. Now, what the engineers do, simply put, is they look at all the elements that the condo corp is responsible for. They give an estimate of when they're going to need to be replaced or repaired, and they assign a cost to that work. So, very silly, simple example, your building has a brand new roof and the lifetime expectancy is 20 years. And in 20 years, you're going to need to pay $100,000 to fix this roof. Well, the condo corporation should be contributing $5,000 a year to that reserve fund. All right. So that's kind of how it works. Your lawyer is going to read over, they're going to make notes of any underfunding that may have been identified. But again, given that the province mandates regular updates to these reserve fund studies, usually everything is fine. But as always, good idea to check, trust, but verify, right? Okay, so that in a nutshell is what a status certificate is and why it's important that you get one, right? As usual, if you have any questions or you want to book a call with me or reach out, my contact information is in the description below. And listen, if you made it this far in this video, maybe you take 2 seconds, you like, you subscribe, leave a comment. We need to make our friends over at YouTube happy, right? So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.